All right, so if you've been paying attention to the manosphere and a lot of it's going mainstream with the red pill and just anything that has to do with that part of the internet. And you hear this a lot that men need to get in shape, and I'm in good shape, right, as you can see. And but what they don't talk about, they don't focus on, is on the diet. And part of being, red pill aware, right? It just doesn't portray just to women. This goes to all aspects of life. And diet, is one of those things that the manosphere pushes a lot, right? I'm not gonna debate that, but they don't focus on the proper nutrition, when it comes to for men to be in shape. And you hear a lot, oh, you gotta count your calories. I've never counted a calorie in my life. I usually stay, with a 6-pack all year long. I've been doing that for multiple years. So I know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? When it comes to this shit. And I'm going to give you guys a breakdown on how I manage my diet without having to count calories. And the fundamentals of the fundamentals of my diet. So, number one, this shit's not going to work for you if you don't cut out alcohol. Alcohol is one of those things that you must completely cut off, because essentially, if you read the scientific literature, it's essentially poison. And why would you want to poison yourself? I don't know why. It doesn't give you any results. I'll put it to you guys. I used to be an alcoholic, and every choice that I had made up to that point, to the point where I stopped drinking, had been a terrible choice. Even if I was drinking once a week, once a month, people try to justify on why they need to drink. Drinking has become normalized in society. Like you're some fucking weirdo if you don't drink. And I'd say that's bullshit. It's actually the other way around. I live a way better life now that I don't drink, and I don't want to sound like a fucking like a vegan, one of those vegans like, oh yeah. Anyways, quit the alcohol. Number two, I always, doesn't matter, you hear people, oh, you gotta have a cheat day, and you gotta treat yourself. What the fuck? Who the fuck came up with that shit? That's what I'm thinking, right? Who the fuck came out with the bright idea? And this is the reason. This is my opinion, right? I'm just theorizing right now. That's why a lot of people fall off the gym or regain the weight, because they believe this idea that you need to have a cheat day. I don't have cheat days. I'd rather cheat on my wife before I cheat on my diet. That's the slogan I follow, right? And I really mean that shit, because when you have a cheat day, you're essentially saying it's okay for me to be a sloth once a week and not actually how do I say this, and not worry about the outcomes of that. Is there people out there that it works out for them? Yeah, but majority of the people, everyone that I meet, that's into health and fitness, they usually have like a cheat day, cheat meal. And when these people go on vacation, they'll go to vacation and they'll fucking pig out, and then they'll come back to reality, and it takes them a while for them to get back into shape. So no cheating on your diet. And then you might be thinking, what the fuck am I supposed to eat, right? If I'm not allowed to cheat on my diet. And I'm strict on my diet, right? But yeah, I also don't count calories, but I stick to eating a whole food diet. No sugar, this is my diet, right? I don't eat anything that is not perishable within 3 days. So that's like the generalization. Is if obviously if you refrigerate your food, your meat, or you throw it in the freezer, it'll last longer, right? But generally speaking, if you when I buy food, I won't eat anything that pretty much can last, a month, 6 months on the shelf. So all your canned food, I don't give a fuck if it's grass fed, canned, whatever the fuck it is, I won't fucking eat it because that introduces chemicals. All this. You add extra processes that into the food supply, into your food supply that don't need to be added. I have the benefit, of living. If you watch my videos, I live in the city. I'm in San Francisco, so we have farmers markets that pop up everywhere, all through the bay. There's actual farmers. We can drive either up north past Marin, or we could drive right here to Half Moon Bay, and there's a lot of farmers who we're actually blessed in that sense, where we can support somebody that's local. I should be shopping more often at these farms. I'm not gonna lie, or with these pop-up food events of organic natural foods is essentially what I'm leading to. I don't need tortillas. It's hard. I fucking love tortillas. I don't need breads. I don't need sugars. I don't drink juices. I don't drink soda. All I drink is cold brew coffee, black coffee, and water. And then I'll have, I'll go to this juice shop right here, by my neighborhood, where where they make fresh, natural squeeze, cold pressed juices, and that's about it. Like I said, I don't want to sound like a fucking gay tofu vegan trying to push this thing, but part of being red pill aware is being aware that the food supply is poison. This is a known fact that they purposely put estrogen in it. I don't know if they purposely do it, but I just assume, because the moment you don't assume, that's the moment you fuck up. They purposely put estrogen in the water, or just the water supply out there is dirty, right? I drink. Oh, and here's another one. I drink the purest water I can find, which is reverse osmosis, or sometimes with some minerals in there. Because everything, even from the air quality, like I'm in San Francisco, right? You can visibly see the smog in the air, and you'll go to Marin, where all the rich people live, and the air quality is totally different. I'm in Marin all the time. I like to go out there. I spend a lot of time out there. And just the air quality. I don't know if it's just because we have Muir Woods right there, and the redwoods purify the air. I don't know what it is, but this is something that needs to be, how do you say? This is a conversation that needs to be spoken of, because no one seems to be bringing it up. You'll see it within with the manosphere red pill. You'll see people in conversations where I follow specific health channels where that's their main focus. I don't expect them to get into the red pill dynamics, obviously, right? But this is something that also and you see this a lot, especially with the younger generations. And I had this when I was younger too, where they have such low confidence of themselves, low self-esteem, no forward outlook of the world, and a lot of their grievances are legitimate. That most, like the Gen Zers, they can't buy a house. They everything's expensive. Fucking what else? All the bitches in their generation are whores. So they have this doom and gloom point of the view, which is actually right. In my opinion, I think it's accurate. And the younger generations keep seeing this. They're woke to this shit. I think 68% of the male Gen Zers are woke to the fact that they were brought up in fucked up situations. I think majority of them are born out of or just come from a single mother home, which is just puts on more stress on them, and I can see why. I'm offering you guys a different alternative, especially the younger generations. After the Gen Zers, there's going to be younger generations that probably see the world even more radical than what they do or what we do, right? But that's besides the point. We're all aware of that, right? So what you guys need to understand is back to back to eating a extremely clean diet. Everything out there is shit. We know this from the cars that they manufacture, from the houses. There's this YouTuber that I follow who's a home inspector, and all these new builds they're trash. And he records, he documents, and anyways, we see this with and what do you guys expect, that the food supply out there is going to have these high standards? You guys see what's going on with Fauci, how they've been grilling him, how he purposely withheld information from the public. And bear with me, I'm new to making these videos. I'm driving, I get nervous, so bear with me. Anyways, so we already know this, that everything out there is shit. And like, I was looking at a soda, one of my homies or just somebody that I know was drinking a juice, right? Thinking he was being healthy, right? And I'm looking at the label and it said 140% sugar. I looked at that shit, I was like, holy shit. They were able to put whatever the fucking container, the container of fluid, right? Like, they were able to fit 140% of sugar within that container, corn syrup, right? And I'm thinking, like, holy shit, this motherfucker's gonna die on us one of these days, drinking that much fucking sugar. That's what essentially they're doing, and people don't know this. Vast majority of people just go through their life not even questioning what they're eating, because that's what their parents say or that's what society tells them to eat. And this shit has to stop. This is, I think, one of the main foundations into becoming a strong individual, where you have to be really, really picky on your, and it sounds like you're being picky, but you're just supposed to eat the shit that you're supposed to eat, and that's it. Like I said, I don't eat these healthy fucking protein bars. I don't give a fuck who made them. It's all made in a fucking it's all manufactured and mass produced in these warehouses. And if you guys taste what a natural berry tastes like, from a garden, and the fucking slop that you get at the fucking supermarket, you guys would see the difference. Even at these high-end, I try to, I go to Whole Foods and I try to get the best, or we have other healthy stores out here. Like I said, I'm thankful that we have that access out here, because some people in other parts of the country or the world, or at least in the country, right, they don't have access to these kind of foods. So I'm blessed on that part, right? But generally speaking, everything out there is shit when it comes to the, food, cars, phones. And the manosphere needs to focus on that, in my opinion, on focusing on and drilling into men. Eat a bunch of fucking steak, eggs, high protein diet. I personally eat low amounts of vegetables. I probably should eat more. But generally speaking, I don't, most of my diet is a whole food diet. And I'll leave it at that. I'm going to show you guys my view. I'm about to go on this hike. I just got off of work. Show you guys a view, man. Y'all see that? Look. It's called Burnham Heights. Look, you see that boomer walk? It's nice out here. And having a good diet, I don't have to count calories. It feels good. You know, you'll get accustomed, to kind of like gauging how you do your diet, how you eat. There's days that I carry more fat where my six pack kind of goes away. Where I eat more fat, then the following day I'll eat a little bit less, and then my six pack is back. But that's besides the point. You want to stay strong. You want to have a sharp mind. Stop buying these bullshit packaged foods. Stick to a whole food diet. If you can, go full blown organic, grass fed, grass finished.